this idea. What I thought I might do is make a list of all the kings and queens that I've written about and their husbands and wives, and go and visit them, go and see their remains, the ones that go back even 1,000 years. We could just go to that place and go and see them and say hello. So this might be easier if I lived in the south of England, which I don't. And we're going to have to go to France as well. That's a terrible shame. But I mean, it's going to be a pretty big trip. It's going to need a bit of planning. But we're in Scotland. We can go to Dunfermline in Edinburgh, and then down into England. We're going quite far south from here. Worcester, Leicester, down to Winchester. I could go see my brother and Beth. Hello. And then loads of them will be in London. Then across to France. This might be a trip for the summer. I might kit out the van, take the kids, sorry kids, and go around and find some remains. Yeah, I mean, am I mad?
This one's nice and gruesome. You all loved hearing about how Edward II died, so here's another one for you. This is William I, or William the Conqueror. 21 years after the Battle of Hastings, and he's still out there fighting, and he was actually thrown forward onto the big pommel of his horse's saddle, and it perforated his bowel. And that's not the sort of injury that's going to kill you instantly, and he went through 5 weeks of suffering before he eventually died. But that's not the end of the story. It took them so long to figure out how they were going to do his funeral, and there were lots of disagreements, but he was just getting bigger and bigger, swelling up after death, and when they tried to push him into the coffin, his body just exploded all over the place.
Question for you, just while I'm cooking a steak, which I'm not going to show you because everyone will just lose their shit. So the question is, should I take my Kings and Queens videos and turn them into a book? I did start to write one a couple of years ago, but life got in the way, as it does. And I went to have a look at it to check something, and I thought, oh, maybe I should finish this and put it out there. But I don't know. Do people read books anymore? Do people read books anymore? I don't know. So maybe you tell me. You tell me, and are there any publishers out there maybe? Who knows? This is what we're going to do. We're making a list of all the kings and queens of England and Scotland that I wrote about in the book Mortal Monarchs. And we're going to figure out where they were buried, or where they might have been buried, or where their remains might be. Some of them we're not so sure. Others know exactly where they are. But we're going to go on a big trip, or at least we're going to go on lots of little trips, because it gets a bit tricky. I'm in the northeast of Scotland. Most of these are in the south of England. There's a lot in London, Windsor. But there's also Faversham, Canterbury, Reading, there's Worcester, Gloucester, so they're all over. And there's even a couple in France, and there's one in Germany, so that's a little bit trickier. But we're going to start ticking them off the list. We're going to go and see them, go and say hello. I'm going to take the kids along for some of them as well. Haha, sorry kids. But that's the summer holidays. Now, I'm making my list at the moment, panicking a little bit about what on earth I've done. I'm going to get a map, we'll plot it on the map, we'll figure out the best way, the best routes, who we're going to go and stay with. We'll go and meet up with some people as well, go and say hello, and go and just have a mess around graves this summer, and maybe a little bit longer, because it's like Monroe bagging. It's almost becoming a bit of a Monroe bagging list. King and Queen grave bagging we're going to do. But that's what I'm going to do. We're going to make a vlog of it. So right here, subscribe, do all those other things if you haven't already, and you can find us and our adventures and see what we're going to get up to this summer. Mortal Monarchs bagging. I'm going to have to come up with a better name. I'll come up with a better name. But that's what we're going to do. So see you guys on here. Next up, we're going to figure out where we're going. So we're making a list of all the kings and queens of England and Scotland since 1066. And then we're going to figure out where they might have been buried, or where we know they are buried. And I'm going to go and write down those locations, and then I'll plot them on a map and see how we get on. Okay, to the list. So here's my list. Let's see what we've got. Harold Godwinson. Okay, tricky one. We'll come back to him. William I. Well, he was in France. So that's him. William II. Winchester. He should be in those chests at Winchester Cathedral. Henry I. Reading, wasn't it? He could be another one that's a king under a car park. Stephen Faversham. This is turning into quite a trip already. Henry II is in, let's see that, it's in Fontevraud in France, and so was Richard III. Sorry, Richard I, getting ahead of myself there. John, he's in Worcester.